Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, hi, I'm Kathryn Atkins. I'm so glad that you've stopped by today. Today's video, sharing some stuff. I have not formally sat down and filmed, me sharing my testimony, but I feel like today's video is kind of a big chunk of it, honestly. So, why I stopped pursuing the medical field. So it's so important, in order to understand, it's so important for me to share a little bit of backstory, and so let me do that now. When I was in high school, there came a time where I had a fork in the road decision for what I was going to study in college, and so I feel like I'm an individual that is interested in so many different things, and so the things that I thought I would pursue would either be journalism or graphic design. I was on the yearbook staff and I just loved everything about it. It was so fun for me. And then the other thing, I had a soccer injury, I tore my ACL, and so previously my parents had been encouraging me to pursue the medical field. They're like, if the economy goes south, people have to eat and they need health care. And so that was like what they, wanted for me, was to pursue medicine. And I never saw myself as being a nurse or anything like that. And so when I finally was in therapy, I was like, well, I could see myself doing this. I like sports, and I was like, well, I could rehabilitate these athletes, and I could see myself doing that. And so I felt like at that time it was the lesser of a greater evil, so I decided that I would do that. And my therapists were just absolutely amazing, so I felt that I could do that. And I don't want to say that pleased my parents, because I was there for me, but I felt like I felt at the time that was the path that I should take. So I get into college, this is what I'm doing. Part of all of this, I love my family, and my dad has played such a huge role in my life. And my dad got diagnosed with diabetes right before I was born. He has type 2 diabetes, and so he had somewhat managed it through. Things started really going south when I was like a senior in high school, and then college, and he really started to get sick. In PD school, we learned comorbidities. It's when multiple things happen, multiple sicknesses. So my dad had diabetes. Because of that, it affected his kidneys. So in 2013, we were blessed when he was able to receive a kidney transplant. He was on dialysis for 2 or 3 years before that, so that was a huge blessing. But the kidneys had been an issue, and then July 2015, he had a massive stroke, and things really changed. And so I was still in school at this time. I didn't graduate until December 2015, and my dad was in and out of the hospital, several hospitals, because we bounced around a lot of North Mississippi, and in and out of nursing homes as well, just trying to get the appropriate care that he needed to deal with all that he had going on with himself. And if there was something that I learned from this experience, I really watched healthcare professionals, like truly watched them. And then I thought about myself. What do I know about myself? I know that I have a heart for people, and I love people, and I want to serve people and share the love of Christ with them. And so there's that. Because of all the different settings that my dad was in, going from nursing home to hospital, and then different nursing homes and hospitals, I feel like I saw a lot of people. And I want to share 2 stories with you today that I hope I will one day not remember. One in the nursing home, there was this one nurse, and my dad, still diabetic, he still had to take his insulin shots, and so this nurse didn't say it just one time, he said it several times. He would go to give my dad his insulin, and he would, pop him with the needle, and right before he would do that, he'd say, "I promise you this is going to hurt you a whole lot more than it's going to hurt me." And he would pop my dad with his insulin shot, and after that, my dad would have a little bruise come up on him. My dad never had bruises giving himself insulin shots, and just like this nurse thinking he's funny or whatever he thought, it just, I remember my mom saying not to be mean to the nurse or, whatever, because we would go home at night, we would leave. We didn't stay overnight all the time, and so my dad, being in the state that he was in, completely relied on the nurses to take care of him. And the fact that my mom even had this kind of mindset, and I completely agreed, because if you were mean to the nurse, they could take whatever out on my dad. How incredibly sad is that, to have that kind of a mindset? But it was completely right to think like that, because some of the nurses, and I say this, and I know that there are so many good nurses, and I thank you for having a heart for healthcare and for patients, to the few of you that I feel like are good nurses. But there are also a lot of people that are not good nurses. There are people that are there for a paycheck, and they're there, I don't know, they're there for a paycheck, that they can have a job, and it blows my mind. The community college that I went to, I feel like they just spit people out left and right, that they don't have a heart for it. They're just there because they can get a job, they can have a salary, and that just makes me so sad. Another time, my dad was in a hospital, and I do believe that this hospital has completely been turned upside down since my dad was there. I think just management and everything about it was just a bit corrupt. But the nurse, my dad had been sent from the nursing home to the hospital. His sugar had bottomed out at this time. He was on a feeding tube, and so they were pumping him with his little formula, I guess. And so this nurse could not get him his food, because the doctor had not signed off on it, and the doctor was at home, and so she wasn't gonna call him while he was at home. She was gonna wait till he came in, like an hour or so. But if you know anything about diabetes, when somebody's sugar is down, like way below, like you gotta get them perked back up. And my dad had, you can become in a far worse situation. My dad was already incredibly sick, and so this nurse was like, "Well, we're just gonna wait, whatever." And just like the common sense was just, I don't know, it makes me so sad and so mad talking about it. But like, it wasn't until me and my mom started like crying that she was gonna do something about it, because like my dad wasn't far from passing, basically, and just like I don't know, like, just the indecency, and the way that people the way people just don't care. If you are in the health profession, certainly it is a job, it is a paycheck, but if you're in this field, you know that it is so much more than that, or you should know. It's caring about people, serving people, getting them well. It's so much to the health profession, and there are too many people that don't have a heart for it, and that just, it's wrong. It's so incredibly wrong. So that, all of that happened. My dad passed away 2 days after Christmas 2015. I had graduated a week or two before that from my university. I got my bachelor's, and so I had applied for physical therapy school. January, I had my interview to one of my schools. I had an interview to one of my schools, and then I went to tour the campus of another one. I didn't get accepted to either one of those schools, and that was really incredibly disappointing. It really was. But, you know, I took a step back to think, and what I realized is that I'm so incredibly burned out on medicine. Absolutely burned out on medicine. I think looking back, the physical therapists that treated my dad were the absolute best. Like, the nurses couldn't hold a flame to the therapist because of the kindness that the therapists, they were just so incredibly kind. I do realize that nurses were with my dad for a lot longer, and, you know, their hours, I'm sure, are just ridiculous. I'm sure a lot of them are so incredibly tired day in, day out. Like I get that. But you're affecting people's lives. And, you know, not only your patients, but the patient's family. And it's just a big old thing. And when you don't have a heart for it, or you're just having an off day, I'm sorry. Like, I truly am sorry. But I don't know that people realize just how important they are, and what a part they play in the big scheme of things. And you know, if you're a nurse watching this, again, I just pray that you have a heart for your patients, because if you don't, I'm not mad at you, but I would encourage you to leave your job and go pursue something else, because too many people's lives depend on it. And, you know, if my dad would have been treated any differently, I don't know that he would have made it, because he was so incredibly sick. But, you know, I feel like even with the strokes, I feel like my dad was aware of how he was being treated, and to make people feel less than is really, really, really cruel and really hateful. So this video is pretty sour and quite negative, but this is my heart, and these are my thoughts about why I left and stopped pursuing medicine. Could I reapply? Sure, I could reapply. I don't know if I would get accepted. I definitely struggle with taking standardized tests. The pressure is real, but it's not so much about me as what I want to convey to you, and that is, you know, if you're trying to figure out if the healthcare is for you, know that there's a lot of crap in medicine. Lots of paperwork, nurses having to work ridiculous amounts of hours, and dealing with people. But if you can get past that, know that this is a special field, because you get to love on people, and you get to minister and witness to them. And just, you know, if you're not a religious person, you still get to be a kind person, and just be somebody that just loves on people and helps them. And some people get well, and that's wonderful, and some people don't get well, but the fact that you get to serve other people and do things bigger than yourself is pretty awesome. Alright, I think that's all I have to share with you. If you have any questions about anything, as always, please leave them down below. I'd be glad to answer anything that you have to ask me. And yeah, I love you guys, and I will talk to you in my next video. Until then, bye guys.